it's a pretty cool feeling because that's where God can take you down the road when you learn an education, when you get passionate about something, when others out there are willing to pay you money for your time, for your education, for your resources, and at the end of the day, for your results, because that's the only thing that matters.
Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited to be with you guys today because I have been getting several messages from people, and I thought about doing this in the past, even though I've talked about bits and pieces in the past throughout, but I've had more and more people ask me in the last couple months, really since like December-ish, around the holidays. You're going to parties, you're networking and so forth during the holidays, and even, Super Bowl and birthday party, all these other things, right? You start knowing and realizing there's a lot of people that have questions about why we started Credit Counsel Elite and a little bit more about your upbringing, right? And so I wanted to share that because it's been a while, number one. Number two, I've seeded some bits and pieces throughout, but I thought about it about 6 months ago, and for some reason or another, I forgot and just didn't move forward. It wasn't a priority then. Now it feels like it's a good time to deep dive into it, specifically around tying it into why we are doing our 3-day 0% capital boot camp lately. Okay. And it all ties back in to purpose and impact. Okay. So write that down: purpose and impact, because we're going to get into both today behind the purpose and impact. At the end of the day, there has been a lot of people that ask like why we started all of this. And so I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back and rewind here. Growing up in New Jersey, I live out here in sunny San Diego, California now. I've been out here for 15 years, which is crazy. That's crazy. Time flies, right? Just turned 36. I moved out here when I was 21. And growing up initially, I was raised by a single parent mother who's diagnosed at the time as manic depressive bipolar. I met my father when I was 18 years old in court so he could stop paying child support. I'm the middle child. I'm the middle son. I have 2 sisters, so the only guy in the house. And both my little sister and my older sister were about 7 years apart, both of them. And so it's a good size gap, but it's always also just one of those things that being the only guy in the house at a young age, I was being taught that and told that by other people outside of the family and so forth, and potentially my family. I'm not sure, but I know it was kind of embedded at a young age of like, you're the man of the house, you're the man of the house. And at that young age, having, doing the typical young things of, begging your mom for something, or like not wanting to go to school and complaining and, I want to stay home. I want to stay home. And then my mom would be like, yes, of course, let's stay home. Let's go get ice cream in the morning and things like that. And at first you do it, right? And then eventually you're like, oh, going back to school, it's like you got to catch up. Like life doesn't stop. You got to catch up now. Now you're behind. And I think the analytical side of me started, which I get from my mom, started catching up of like, hey, what the heck, man? Like you're falling behind. So even when I would be excited to stay home in certain pieces of it, I also realized at a young age, like I should probably actually make the better decision. And this is at a young age, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever second, third grades type of stuff is. So that was one piece of it, right? In addition, constantly being like one of those young kids. Like there was people in my neighborhood that had dirt bikes and quads, and we all had like bikes, and we were building these dirt ramps and all these things and busting our heads open all the time and kneecaps and other things. just doing like outside, activity things, the stuff that kids used to do growing up. And so at that young age also, like, going up to my mom and begging, begging, begging all the time, like, "Hey, I want a dirt bike. I want a dirt bike, or I want a half pipe. I want these things. Can I get this? Can I get this? Can I get this?" And at first, like, parents are like, "No, no, no, stop asking me that. No, no, no." Like, like the little tormenting kid that keeps on asking, like begging. Eventually, I do recall a time and a season in my life that I could see my mom start replying back with like a no, but it was like a pain. It like hurt her, you could tell. And, or at least that's how I took it at the time. And that pain of her really desiring and wanting to give me whatever I wanted, just like any good parent. My mom was an angel in so many ways. Like, she busted her butt to raise three misfits, to say the least. She did an incredible job. And because we're all three half decent human beings at this point. And so even though I was annoying and like begging and all this other stuff, and eventually she kept on saying no, 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 but eventually you could just see the pain that she really wanted to be able to supply these things, just like any good parent, but she couldn't. And so I remember other times just growing up, like, family playing the lottery or wanting to just become rich or hit. And so I would pray for like, hit the lottery. Can we just hit the lottery? And I would just like try to manifest that while I'm outside all day playing basketball and things like that. And I remember that around like fourth and fifth grade. And I tried getting my first job at age like 9 and 10 just by going to golf courses and see if I could pick up the balls or cutting grass in the neighborhood or like picking weeds from neighbors. And so I remember eventually like feeling like I had to grow up sooner than later, which, that's okay. I wanted to start making money so I could pay for my own stuff because I could tell my mom couldn't. And that's okay because I still wanted it desperately. But I gave up on that route of begging and started figuring out, how can I do this myself? Luckily, my mom was able to get me a job from an amazing woman at church at age 12 that she owned the restaurant. It was a seafood restaurant, Miss Linda, and that angel of a woman like really helped get me on the right path. She, to a certain degree, like just like that motherly angel, wing type of thing of during for a couple years, she, right before back to school, she would take me school shopping. And maybe the first year she paid for it, but the second year that I was working and so forth, she would actually get me to pay for it to teach me discipline and money management. But she would take me still and guide me and kind of make sure that I knew how to budget properly and things like that. And so just speaking life into me and guiding me and giving me my first opportunity to work under the table when you're supposed to be like 16 or 18 to work there. I was 12 and they treated me like one of their kids to work there. It was excellent. And I just remember at other certain times that, I felt like the only problem growing up, because we laughed so much. We had so much fun in so many different ways. The biggest issue that I felt like growing up was the money piece of it. Of, is the car going to start? Is the rent going to be paid? Are we going to lose the house? Is the electric or the lights going to stay on? The TV, is that going to be on? Things like that is what actually, I was worrying about at a very, very young age when you really shouldn't be worrying about those things. But again, there's other pieces that I really probably should have had, like a father figure and stuff, but you don't know what you don't know. And so my mom did an excellent job of really holding down the fort and being both in certain times. But also she had her own, issues and dilemmas and back problems and other things that took her out for certain seasons at a time. And thank God we had a good church. We had, for a good season, we had, local help from schools during holidays and things like that to support us in certain ways outside of my mom supporting and, Section 8 and Social Security and things like that. But I would say that at that young age of realizing like the money was the biggest thing. And what's funny enough is in high school, I ended up dating this for about 5 years on and off, dated this one girl that actually had a bunch of money. She came from more of a wealthy family, owned numerous businesses, successful, very thriving businesses locally in the area. And it was a rare type of thing, but they were popular and had, significant money as a family business. And that was the first time that I kind of walked into that, and I realized, like, wow, like, money isn't everything. It is not everything. And that was a great learning lesson, honestly. That was a really huge learning lesson, because there's other areas within the family that there was a lot of brokenness, and sometimes the money actually caused more problems. And it reminded me of like Biggie Smalls talking about Notorious B.I.G. talking about like more money, more problems. And it was just one of those situations that over the years, as I made mistakes, as I got addicted to marijuana and surrounded myself with bad people and kind of put myself in stupid circumstances, had guns to my head, knives to my throat, had an explosion in my apartment, had cops asking about me and all these other nonsense things. And eventually, after the explosion, burning 40% of my body, having to learn how to walk again, induced into a coma, and all this other stupidness. And eventually, after 30 days and almost 30 days in jail, and fighting a court case for 2 years and getting house arrest and 2 felonies, a misdemeanor, and 3 years probation, and all these fees and all this other nonsense, and paying things down, paying things off, getting things corrected with the explosion, the apartment, the property management company that I torched that area. Poor people. And then also just getting, the all of the felonies retracted and so forth, not expunged, but retracted and totally removed off the report. All these things, it reminded me of, like, why the heck are we doing what we're doing? And so eventually, when you start making money, you start realizing that all the money in the world doesn't necessarily change the world, right? You can make huge impact with focusing on one person at a time. And if you get $1 from each person in the world, it's like it adds up. You're gonna walk away with 8 billion. But at the end of the day, it's also like it's not just the amount of people, it's also the purpose. Like, why are we doing this? Money's great and you should focus on money, but you should also not allow it to control you, right? In the Bible, it says that money is a form of evil. It's not the form. It's not the one and only. It's a form. If you prioritize it, put it on some pedestal, which unfortunately, there's a lot of us out there that have in the past or do consistently. They prioritize money over everything else. Therefore, they put it up top, and guess what happens? They're underneath it and they're getting controlled like a puppet. Okay, you want to be very cautious of that, because that is a form of evil, and that will have you do wrong things, sacrifice certain moral compass, like that you don't want to do. But I want to kind of pull you back of, like, why did we? So that's kind of like my background, right? How we got into teaching others how to get funding from banks. And I'm talking like a significant amount of funding, ladies and gentlemen, like a good amount here is very simple. It came down to, I was determined to succeed no matter what I did, like no matter what happened. I was determined, very driven, to say the least. At a young age, that I didn't want money to hold me back. I didn't want it to dictate me. I didn't want to have to worry about money. I didn't want my future kids worrying about money the way that I did at a young age. And I didn't want limited beliefs. I didn't want things to hold me back. I didn't want just the stubbornness of, like, I don't want anything to hold me back or make me in fear or any of that nonsense. And so I was driven to succeed and pull myself out of this kind of slump that I found myself in by doing all the wrong things and make the wrong path because I have the wrong guidance or lack of guidance. And when I found myself falling in love with real estate, that was the thing that changed my life. It literally changed my life. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't some like magic pill. It wasn't some I had to work my tail off to be able to do it, but it was very realistic. It was very like, okay, you got to buy a property. Well, how do you do that? You got to figure out the money part. You got to find out the location. You got to figure out the good deal. Like, you got to figure out that piece. But there's houses all over, so I could see it. It's like, all right, well, how much are they worth? I don't know. How do we do this? Cool. Like, how are we going to fund it? How are we going to close? You just lean on other experts that are doing it every day as a profession to guide you and mentor you a little bit and give you some step by step. People love to do it. But there's a lot of information on real estate. It's not so like black and white. There's less confusion. There's a lot of just realistic, expectations of when you're going down that rabbit hole of learning, which is good. Now, to be able to figure out the funding piece of it with credit, there's less of the clarity. There's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of myths. There's a lot of BS out there. And why? It's because it's not taught in school. It's not taught at the dinner table growing up. And again, that's not your fault. It's damn sure not my fault either. But it is our problem. And when I realized it was my problem, I was determined to figure it out and solve the problem. And so all the books, podcasts, YouTube that I could get my hands on for the information, in addition to implementing it, getting mentors, and all this other stuff, turned into me figuring out how to get these banks to say yes. Yes, a lot more, right? Up to 90% more. Like a kind of a big deal. In addition, getting up to 500,000. In addition, getting the highest limits. In addition, getting the best terms and conditions. With rates as low as 0%, with insurance, credit cards, with protection, with points, with free travels, with all of these other caveats that it just made it fun, made it exciting. It made it like the gratitude for it is like, oh my gosh, plus I can do this real estate thing to change my life. Let's go. And so when I started implementing these things, it's not something you can chat GPT. It's not something you can get necessarily guidance from any other of these Tom, Dick, and Harrys that have fly-by-night companies that took my course over the weekend and then want to start pitching it or put their logo over mine, because there's a lot of them out there. Yes, there's a lot. But I remember back in 2016, 2017, we were networking a lot. Jen and I, we were part of a mastermind, and we were going to these networking events every 2 weeks typically, and for about a year. And so we went to all these networking events, and there was a ton of people there frequently. And while I'm networking and saying who I am, what I do, and hearing from them, what do they do, it was very eye-opening to say the least. There's a lot of people giving me good information of like, and the body language that they had of like, wow, like you're doing all this real estate 3,000 miles away. You're using credit cards to do it. This is crazy. Like, and then they were all like, hey, I want to do that too. That sounds exciting. And then I was like, cool, what's stopping you? And it was frequently, you could see on their body, like on their face and on their body language, like they just felt like it was impossible until they got money. So they were like, well, once this thing over here that I'm doing is successful, then I'll be able to pay for it. And I was just thinking like, man, what if that never is successful? What if it takes 5 to 10 years before anything ever happens? What if you miss out on this incredible opportunity that you say you want it? You could tell you want it. Everybody wants real estate, but then again, getting the funds behind it is that limited belief, and people just shut down. And so for me, I was very shocked with that, because I'm like thinking like, do you think I'm rich? Do you think I just came from money? How do you think I got in? Again, it was with credit. Don't forget that part of it. But again, because it's not taught in school and it wasn't taught at the dinner table, a lot of people have these myths or these misconceptions behind credit. They think that you should only have 1 or 2 credit cards, with maybe a third as an emergency. You should never use your credit cards for anything. Like you should never, and I'm thinking to myself like, no. There's a big difference between good debt and bad debt. And I agree, you shouldn't go into bad debt at all. You should never, in fact, like ever But there is good debt, and if I can make money from it, then what does it matter if I borrow it over here or from this bank or from this person or this family member that doesn't have it? But like if I borrow it somewhere else and I pay them back money plus interest and the principal and interest and make a good return, but I still make money. What's the difference between doing that with somebody else or doing it with a credit card? And people just can't wrap their heads around that at first. I think over the years, there's more people that are willing to start wrapping their head around it. That's the good news. Okay, that's the good news. But the biggest thing that I really want to drive home here is that, again, when you are determined and you are driven to succeed no matter what, and I do believe we're walking into a season right now that the last year or two or even 3 years, real estate has been slowing down. It's been like there's a lot of people that were in the space of real estate that are no longer in the space, ladies and gentlemen. What does that mean? It means that, number one, quote unquote experts previously, or whatever the hell you want to call them, when the market's doing good, they were in. When the market's not doing as good, they're out. That's one piece of it. Okay. So does that scare you off? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it comes down to education and getting creative, right? And let's study what they did wrong. And maybe they didn't have this foundational piece, this piece. Maybe they weren't really focusing on great deals. Maybe they weren't running their numbers properly or thinking about the market potentially retracting a little bit. But number two, it's also just understanding, like, at the end of the day, how bad do you really want this? Do you have, this is a huge opportunity because so many people are out of the game. Number two is like, you can jump in. There's opportunity there. What's the opportunity cost? It's getting educated and get this foundational piece, this funding. Can you imagine when you learn how to talk to these banks properly, what it could do for you? See, we ended up receiving a lot of purpose by starting to teach others how to do it. We always put our mask on first. When I say we, I'm talking about Jennifer and I. Like, I was desperate and determined to figure out how the hell do I get out of these day jobs, these restaurant dead end broke jobs that I'm busting my tail at, working stupid hours, ridiculous, just slaving away there to make next to nothing for income. How do I get the hell out of that? Number one. And then once I figured out how to do that, I hustled. I was donating plasma twice a week. Jen and we were collecting an extra $1,000 a month. I was only doing that because I was reading books at home and it started driving me crazy. I was like, I'm just wasting time. Like, how can I read books and get money at the same time? I was doing some Acorn, like, stock trading and putting things in there. And again, riding the wave. Didn't know what the hell I was doing, but still just riding the wave. I was collecting cans from both of the restaurant jobs, recyclables. I was stacking them up on the side of my house. And then once a week on my day off, my only day off, I would take 2 trips with all those cans stuffed in my car, front seat, back seat, and then in the trunk. And I would take it to the recycling center and I would collect about $100 each trip. I did 2 of them. So each week I would collect another $200. That's $800 a month. I would also clean trash cans by calling up the property management company and say, like, hey, just so you know, I'm hearing some of the neighbors are complaining about, there's maggots and a lot of flies all over the trash cans. It's really getting to be disgusting. I don't know if you noticed or not. Just wanted to make sure that you're aware, just in case if you start hearing some calls. And then before I hang up, be like, but just so you know, if it is something really heavy on you guys, like, if you want, I can just clean it for you if you'd like. And then they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then you can be like, okay, great. So it's normally $50. They're like, oh, it's going to charge us here. I already said great. Well, don't worry. I'm not going to charge 50. It's just 35 or instead of 35 for each one, I'll drop it down to just 30 for each one because there's 8 of them. Is that cool? And then they're like, yeah, that sounds good. I just built the value. I built the necessity. I built the value. I value stacked that. I made them feel like they're getting a savings. And then I knocked it out and I take pictures, send it to them. And eventually doing so many of them, I'm spending 20 minutes on each trash can. I hired somebody else to do it, paying them $25 an hour or $20 an hour, I forget, and told them clean 3 trash cans per hour and knock out 20 minutes and they get paid theirs. And I'm just trying to call more places to be able to clean their trash cans. Again, I say all this to let you know, when there's a will, there's a way. I hustled to start saving up money, making money. And then I got rid of all my debts. I started positioning myself with credit cards to be able to take down more real estate deals. And as I was taking down these real estate deals, once I had 10 or 12, we were making 10,000 plus per month, which was more than my $3,000 a month I was making off of restaurants. Okay. And I still didn't have the balls to leave my job until I got fired, because I was taking so many of these calls regarding real estate throughout the day. And they were just saying, like, your heart's not into this, you're screwing around, like, get out of here. And when I did that, then it was one of those opportunities that, like, it was one blessing after another when it came down to real estate, doing more deals, more bigger opportunities. Had a lot of learning curves. Okay, that's part of the game. You know, my first deal right out here, it was 160,000. I got screwed over by another investor that, you know, I put him on a pedestal. He was a big deal, and I got screwed over. And he's in jail though now. All right, so karma is a real thing. I encourage you to understand that every step back is just a step up for your next opportunity. And when you find purpose, and the purpose for me was realizing, like, I was becoming successful with a tool and an instrument and an education that nobody can take away. Nobody can take away. I will never go back to being in restaurants unless I'm owning one. And that's a big deal. Like, whatever your occupation is right now, even just saying that out, just saying that, like, how does that feel? Just say that. Like, I will never go back to being an engineer or a teacher ever again, or whatever your job is right now. I'll never go back to doing that again unless I'm owning one and managing it, or outsourcing it, or as an investor. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a pretty cool feeling, because that's where God can take you down the road when you learn an education, when you get passionate about something, when others out there are willing to pay you money for your time, for your education, for your resources, and at the end of the day, for your results, because that's the only thing that matters, is your results. Can you get them to the point further, faster, better, without them doing it by themselves? And if that is the case, which it always is with us, like, that's when people are willing to pay, and not just a little bit, but a premium. And so we focused on that, and we've been able to help a ton of people get into real estate. A ton. Get into real estate by doing the same exact process that I have with credit cards. I always say this, if you want to get your first real estate deal, if you've never had one before, or you want to get your second, third, or fourth, or 10th, or 100th, within the next 30 to 90 days, challenge yourself to do this. And if challenge is accepted, let me know by simply just DMing me and saying, I'm taking you up on the 30, 60, 90-day challenge. All you got to do is submit 3 offers per day on real estate deals. 3 offers per day, and watch one of them get accepted. One of them jump into negotiations. One of them close. All right. There's other steps to it, of course, by all means. Of course. But when you get mentorship, guidance, and accountability, there's transformation that takes place. Okay. I always say this, like, doing it solo, I don't know anybody solo that makes it to the Olympics. I just don't know anybody solo that gets to the Olympics. I do know everybody that I see at the Olympics, they have a friggin' team around them. Team. Like a badass team. Usually their trainer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trainers that they have, all, if not one, all of them have been in the Olympics previously, number one. It's somebody who's already been there, done it, saw it, been a part of it, that can teach from personal experience. They also have a nutritionist. They get blood work done. They optimize their mindset, accountability, performance. Like, they have a dream team around them. So that tells us something, that success leaves clues, money leaves a trail. Follow what the rich people have been doing. Follow what the successful people have been doing. Ask yourself truthfully, because talk is cheap, how bad do you really want it? How bad do you really want it? Because if you want it bad enough, like, everything else can change. And so it's pretty remarkable and incredible to see the impact that we've made over the years from the purpose that we found within ourselves. And it started like us implementing, like I've been playing around with credit and FICO Scores banking model since 2011. Started implementing it for myself for real estate and investing in 2015. I'm a little slow. All right. I'm a little slow. But in 2015 to 2017, acquired $10,000 plus in monthly income, cash flow. Okay. Tax benefits, appreciation, you name it. And so in 2017, I had just incredible opportunities around, and we started teaching other people as we were investing in ourselves into mastermind groups and learning more. So we started networking and teaching other people, again, how to be able to utilize the same strategies to get into real estate and grow, scale, and fund their deals without paying an arm and a leg. Because I had a cheap mindset back then. I wanted 0% interest. All right. So I figured out how to do that. When we figured out how to do it and we were doing it, we led by example and we showed others how to do it. And the results spoke for themselves. And then word of mouth spoke from that. From 2017 to 2021, we didn't pay any ads at all. It was all just doing right by people, and they spread the word. And then we turned it into, one-on-one coaching. We turned into group coaching, and then we had premiums for one-on-one if they bought my time and things like that. And it turned out to be incredible. But this is what is the most wildest thing. Since 2017 to now, we've helped out over 4,000 members. 4,000 in combined, over 200 million in funding that has been received in total with all of our members. And that is just bananas to me. But it's also incredible to even think about how many people we don't know that are members that we haven't been able to track or keep up with. I just found out the other day, one of our guys, I've always said on presentations in the past that he has received 246,000 in funding, because the last that I knew about it is that's how much it was, until he showed us proof and showed on the spreadsheet like, nah, dude, it was over $1 million between me and my wife. I was like, over $1 million? That's a lot more than I thought, dude. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's bonkers. And we've had plenty of people hit millions. We've had plenty of people hit 750, 600s, 500s all day. Our worst ones, we see no less than 200,000, in the last couple years. And so it's powerful to see what can be done when you get the proper education. And you can take a look at our Trustpilot reviews and we have hundreds of testimonies and reviews constantly, but this is how powerful this stuff is. The word of mouth doesn't just spread, but now the ads spread, and now we're getting in front of more people for more impact, more purpose, and we're seeing lives being transformed and changed. Because just ask yourself, what would an extra $200 to $300, $400, or even $500,000 be worth to you? How would life look different in just 6 to 12 months after receiving that type of capital? Like what would be different for you? So ask yourself that. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, for me, it brings peace. It brings peace because now I don't need to take down a dozen real estate deals per month. I don't need to take down a dozen real estate deals per year. I can take down just 1 or 2 deals per year, and I can go for the best of the best, where I'm going to make something extraordinary, anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000, or even $1 million plus on these deals. Like I aim for $500,000, $500,000 in profit. That's what I aim for, but I'm trying to get more, right? I won't go for something less than $250,000. And I know that sounds crazy to most people, but I'm patient. I don't need to take down deals. I have 0% interest money that I can get access to every 6 months per person. I got a wife. I got friends and family. I could get it as often as I want. We already have millions and millions and millions. We have millions just with one particular bank, let alone all the banks that we have access to. We have a list of 9,500 banks, every single one nationwide, 9,500 of them, state by state, in order from top to bottom, which ones are giving out the most funding. We have bank relationships in a lot of these banks and in a lot of different states. We have tools and resources to make things easy. We have scripts, we have templates, we have the whole nine. And that's how a lot of our, not just the resources and material information, because it's excellent, it brings you 80 to 90% of the way there, but how we stand out tremendously is the coaching. It's the team of almost 30 members that we have on our team for Credit Counsel Elite that we coach and we mentor all of our active members at Credit Counsel Elite. And so we have 350 active members at any given point. And we only accept a handful or so per month, but that's just to be able to keep up with it. And we're constantly hiring on and growing and scaling and systemizing and so forth. But it's a real big deal for me to focus on fulfillment. It's because it's everything. It's why we started this. It's the purpose, right? It's the impact. It's making sure that people are getting the results that they desire, not just some course, right? Who gives a damn about a course? Nobody needs another course. They need education, yes, but they need guidance. They need accountability. They need an identity shift over time. And if you don't know that, that's what it is. It's you've never hit $1 million. You've never even seen $1 million. How the hell are you going to just naturally get it? There's going to be resistance. There's going to be pushback. There is. Anybody that sells you on a dream and sunshine and rainbows, it's not realistic. It's never been it's not out there. There's no quick fat loss magic pill. You can't outsource your push-ups. But nobody wants to buy into that type of program where it's like, oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, So you got to understand that it needs to be systemized. But we have a team of almost 30 to guide and mentor. And we have assessment coaches. We have accountability partners. We have member success managers. We have director of fulfillment. We have a team to guide and support. We have AI software. We have other tools to be able to make things very simplified, along with our connections that sit down with you and fill out the applications with you. So it's very detailed and dialed in. And that's why we started doing these 3-day 0% capital boot camp, because for the simple fact, it's the most affordable to be able to help out as many people as possible. So when you grab your ticket on Instagram in my bio at Credit Counsel Elite, when you grab that right now, it's anywhere from $47 to $147. It's next to nothing. We give you a course, we give you templates, we give you an ebook to unlock your full credit potential. It's next to none. It breaks down the whole, our $15,000 course. It breaks it down into writing for you. There's value in there. And it's next to nothing. And it's a VIP ticket. But that gets you access to our 3-day full event where I just unleash the whole fire hose, because it's in a huge group setting. But you need 3 full days to really soak it all up. So those who not just invest in themselves with just next to nothing, a couple coffees, right? A dinner or 2 out, you save at home and you stay in for this, it could change the life of you and your family, your finances forever, if you prioritize it and give it the respect that it deserves. That's the biggest thing. Because price is what you pay, value is what you get. This is different. We give a ridiculous amount of value. But some people, you've always heard you got to pay attention. So many people out there don't give it the respect that it deserves because they're not paying as much. And my goal isn't to nickel and dime and try to get everybody to pay. I just want to teach. I want to teach you, but I want you to respect what you're learning. So I encourage you right now, if you're tired of missing out on opportunities, if you are not in a fundable position right now, if your FICO score isn't excellent, if you think you got it all figured out with finances and FICO scores, let me correct you right now. Those who think that have the biggest gap that they don't see. Okay? It's right between your ears. All right? You're going to want to start changing that mindset and realizing, man, for $147, I can learn a thing or two here. I can start learning. And if you don't, we have a 10x value money back. We literally make it right one way or another. If it goes to another program, or I'll just give you the damn money back. Because it's next to nothing. I could care less. But I guarantee it. You'll walk away with so much freaking value. It'll be worth tens of thousands. Tens of thousands. That's how much it will be worth to you. So I encourage you, get your ticket right now. Who else do you know that needs to have a ticket? A friend, a family member, a significant other, a business partner, your neighbor. This information right here could be the pivotal point, the line in the sand of saying enough is enough and Wow, learning how to get these banks to not just say yes up to 90% of the time, get the highest limits possible, the best terms and conditions. You can do it with confidence and boldness. You can have peace over the opportunities that they stop passing you by. You know, with confidence and boldness, because I can teach you how to get to the 800 club to get the best terms, the best conditions, and not paying an arm and a leg, not pay high interest rates, not pay mafia rates to the banks that already have enough money. They don't need any more of yours. It's time to flip the script on these banks. You and I give all of our money to the banks. That's where we pay our bills from, right? So when we have all of our money in the banks, how much do you think they gave you last year? They gave me next to nothing, and I had a good amount there. All right? 0.00 nothing percent. Okay? Nada. Zilch. Zip. Zippity doo dah. Nothing. We give all of our money to the banks. They give us nothing back for it. So we're giving them 0% interest loans. They lend it back out to you and I tenfold on personal loans, auto loans, mortgages, student loans, credit cards, retail cards, business loans, etc. You see where I'm going with this. Okay? They're actually averaging anywhere from 500 to 3,000% off of the money that you and I gave them. It's ridiculous. It's bananas. It's bonkers. It's crazy. But that's the truth. See, money leaves a trail. Success leaves clues. I'm talking about flipping the script on these banks. We can get 0% interest funding from these banks consistently, anywhere from 6 months to 24 months. On average, it's very custom and common to see 15 to 18 months, 0% interest. So why not get 4 or 5, 600,000 in new funding? Why not get the free flights, the car rentals, the hotel suites? Why not? That's what we do. We're about to go to the French Alps in 2 weeks for a week with some friends. Why not? We're not paying for any of it. Why not? First class all the way there. And then in a month and a half after that, or a month later, we're going to be going on a safari trip, a whole month of traveling. Why not? It's free. We'll be paying for food and the experience and the fun. That's it. The hotels, the car rentals, the flights, first class, the whole way. That's all free because we know how to use credit. We know how to use points. We know how to travel hack. And you can too. That's what we're teaching at Credit Counsel Elite. It's a 4-step process. It's the foundation, understanding how the banks, the rules against you, right? So that you know them, that it should have been taught in school. They weren't. So now it's up to you and me. It's our problem we have to solve. I'm going to teach you this. We're going to help solve this problem. Afterwards, it's fixed. Everybody's got to do some fixing. We have techniques and strategies. We've had people with 70 plus hard inquiries, 100K plus in debt. I'm helping somebody with $1 million worth of debt right now get it deleted. He thought he had to file bankruptcy and he did it. And I'm showing him how to remove it. 70 plus hard inquiries, late payments, collections, you name it. And then afterwards, we're showing build, how to boost your score up to the 800 club, how to get what we call a mass apply, which is simply an application sequence. When done correctly, you can get up to 90% approval odds. So why not? Get these banks to start saying yes. And then lastly, leverage it. Start investing in it. And we have investment opportunities as well. You can invest in real estate with us. We have many of our members doing that. And literally, it costs us $300 a square foot to build, but it's worth $900 a square foot afterwards. It's an easy $600 spread. We've done it a lot, and we already own the property. It has $1 million in equity already, and the list goes on. It's cash flowing, it's renting out, tax benefits. Like, who doesn't want to do these things? So I encourage you, if you're on the fence about checking out what the heck is going on the inside of Credit Counsel Elite, come to our 3-day 0% capital boot camp. We'll teach you how to fix. We'll teach you how they're judging you. We'll teach you how to boost your score to the 800 club. We'll teach you the data points that matter, the 45 metrics. We'll teach you how to get the banks to start saying yes a heck of a lot more. And lastly, we'll teach you how to leverage. And we'll teach you how to liquidate cards and cash so that you don't need to walk around with either none of this, or if you get all the results, you know how to liquidate it into cash to be able to put it to work. So I encourage you, stop what you're doing right now, invest in yourself, spread the news, get people to be at this event so that you can bump knuckles and you guys can hit the success together, hold each other accountable, because what you do with this information can be next level. So I'm excited to see what you do with it. I'm excited to see you at our event. Again, it's each and every month we hold this. So look in our bio right now for Instagram. It's Credit Counsel Elite. Otherwise, Brandon Elliott Investments in the bio. for Instagram. You can literally click that, grab your ticket right now. We have general admission, we have replay access, and we have VIP. VIP is the best bang for your buck because you get access to everything, courses, you get content, you get ebooks, you get Ask Me Anything. You can really soak up this information and you get replays. But there's other levels to it that are more affordable and cheaper. Again, it's next to nothing. We have it as low as I think $47, maybe even $27, all the way up to $147. So do not miss out on this opportunity. I repeat, do not miss out on this opportunity. And by the way, all these numbers that I'm giving you are already discounted. The VIP is normally $400. Because you are listening right here, number one, it is a discount for you guys to get to 147. So what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Plus our 10x value guarantee back. What are you waiting for? So I encourage you to be a part of that. I can't wait to see you at the event. It's going to be bananas. Share this out because sharing is caring. And we need to get more people educated on this stuff. This isn't something you can chat GPT. It's not something that, you'll be able to do on your own. I guarantee it. Mark my words. This stuff is dedicated to impacting your life for your family, your finances, and your future. So do not hold back on it. We'll see you guys at the event. We love you guys. I hope that you got to enjoy a little bit about my story. If that resonates with you, let me know by leaving a 5-star review and literally just DM me on Instagram. Again, it's Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise, Credit Counsel Elite on Instagram. Would love to hear more from you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, God bless and peace out. See you next time.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.